Insiders, thank you for tuning into another episode of Keeping It Real with Miss T, where we bring you tea in many forms. Tonight, the tea will be scorching hot. As I have a phenomenal guest here, this young fella will blow your mind. So please grab you some Oreos, take a sip and a bite from this wonderful lesson, as this tea will give you something to remember for a lifetime. He is a retired veteran of the United States Air Force, serving over 30 years, a conservative who in his leisure enjoys using his fingers to romance his guitar, writing, aviation, family, education. Owner of Browniefox Publications LLC, writing articles and journals, and speaks on socio-political African American issues. Residing near Dayton, Ohio with his family. Go Buckeyes! So let's give you none other than Kevin White, author of Growing Up White, pun intended, an Oreo's Guide to Fitting In. Oh, how I can relate. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here in OHIO.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, like I said, thank you for joining us here on Keeping It Real with Miss T this evening. Just tell us, who is Kevin White, the man, the person, author, and musician?
Kevin White is like you said, retired military veteran. Uh, I enjoyed writing. I started my book back in 2011, and actually my degree from college, I graduated in 2017 after I got out of the military. My degree is in liberal arts, so I'm the first person to use that degree, right, to get to do something with it by writing a book and opening a
Wow.
company. And I have a wife and two kids, two daughters, and my background is my parents are actually from the country. We're not from the city. We're from a different culture altogether, and I'm from a military brat background. So my entire life has been Air Force until I got out recently. The guitar, I haven't played for a while because I was in an accident in 2018. I can't handle the noise right now, so I'm getting better though. But I do love playing guitar. Bass is I love slapping the bass. That's my instrument right there. Here, I'm going to get it out sometime soon and enjoy that.
Good stuff, good stuff. Now, you made a statement just a few seconds ago about you guys are from the country. I know that you traveled a lot. So what is your background with your family? Where are you guys originally from? Are you all originally from Ohio, but you said not necessarily the country?
Uh, both my parents are from Ohio near the West Virginia border. So over in that area, things are different. Hardworking, like steel workers and coal miners, and now everything's dried up. It's actually that area is called the Rust Belt of Ohio. I actually went to the Winfrey show out there, and that was the topic of why she was there, and it was very interesting.
Okay. Now, how has the labeling of Black and what is, what people, I guess many people are saying politically correct, African American, how has that affected you from childhood to now? Because, of course, your book talks about, the growing up white, right? And I think many people will be like, what are you talking about growing up white? Kind of expound upon that. And what was that like with the politically correct African American? How did that affect you?
I was always proud to be Black growing up because, I had dashikis and I had a big afro, real big afro as a kid, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. But, I knew what my culture was, but I didn't understand how it fit into regular society. Uh, I think African American, actually that term was pushed by Reverend Jesse Jackson, maybe 10 years ago. I can't remember exactly when, but the people from the country where I'm from, they used the word colored people, really. But that was the culture of that era in that country. So my grandmother would say, "So is the girl you're dating, is she colored?" So,
Oh my.
yes, ma'am, she is. You don't talk back to your grandparents, in that kind of society, that kind of culture. Grandparents rule everything, just like they do now, and you're polite, and I've learned to be polite, and that's just how I am. Ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. That's how I was brought up.
So, given that you were brought up that way, but that labeling, did that make you feel some kind of way? Even though that the color of your skin was, or is black, but in the area that you grew up in, there was a healthy medium of base, right? You had Caucasians and things of that sort. How was that in your childhood, being labeled one thing, but your skin color shows another thing?
So we were all labeled black. We've always been black, and that's what the words we used and the vernacular we had for, I don't know, since African American came out so many years ago. So we've always been black. I know I'm black. I'm proud to be black. I do the black things that I see on TV. See, as a military brat, we're not exposed to regular communities. Everybody is together in the same neighborhoods, and any kind of racism,
Mm-hmm.
uh, commander talks to your father and takes care of that problem. So we didn't have any issues like that. So we had
Okay.
people all over the world we lived with, all over every country where you can imagine, every color you can imagine. So we just were kids, were playing around. We didn't have a division. There was no black this or white this or anything like that. We were all on the same field, the same game, did the same thing, played together, went to school together. And yeah, there was 3 years I lived in the Philippine Islands and met a lot of different people from all over the world there. There's a lot of foreigners that got those assignments and met a lot of Filipinos and people from Asia and everything. And so that's like a dream place to go if you're from Asia. So I learned a
Mm-hmm.
lot, ate a lot of good food. Now I know how to cook it.
All right, good stuff. So, what was the driving force for you writing the book, Growing Up White and Oreo's Guide to Filling In? Share more about that.
Well, my father retired in, let's see, what is that? 1979. We moved to Columbus, Ohio. So I discovered for the first time in my life that blacks and whites were separated when I went to school,
Hmm.
segregation of their own. When I got on the bus, the blacks took over the back and pushed the white kids up front. I didn't understand what was going on there. I didn't know what the difference was. I thought, well, why aren't the white kids fighting back? And they didn't.
Hmm.
It's kind of like, and this is we're talking about almost 1980. This is way back. Things were a little different then because the year before that we were leaving North Carolina and some white kid outside of the hotel we were staying at used the N word on us, me and my brother and sister. We were
Oh,
like,
wow.
what is that? And it was freely down there, and a lot of things happened down south in North Carolina where we lived, and that was like around Army base. It was pretty bad. But like I said, we were there in the late 70s. Things are a little different than they are now.
Absolutely. So, no, so let's tickle little fancies and kind of maybe get some people upset, right? Do you feel that as a man of color that you were expected to vote for the 44th US former President Barack Obama, and why?
Yes, because many people, blacks and whites, assume that you will vote for a black president because your skin is black. So you're expected in our society to vote your color, whatever that is. I believe, and I had somebody tell me, "Well, we know who you're voting for." I said,
Hmm.
"You know what? Even if I was, that's a racist remark. You have a choice. You can vote for wherever you want to, and that's what this country is so great about. Everybody has freedom to do that, and that's not their business. It's nobody's business, really."
Right. And we do, it is sad that, brown skin, we're always looked at as, yes, oh, you must be voting for that person because of their color. And if you don't, there is something wrong with you. And like you said, it's so sad that we have the right and people have fought to have that right, but yet and still, you're totally judged by this is what you should do. And that's just so not cool. So I'm sure you have been asked as a black man or African American, and many may not know that you are in support of President Donald Trump, correct?
That's correct.
Absolutely. So of course, as you just stated, the answer should be because you have the right. You do as you choose, and you vote for whom you choose to vote for, who you feel is the better person to serve our country according to what your beliefs are and what your world looks like. how often is that, is that question posed to you, why are you your support, or are you judged in it? And that statement of you saying, hey, I don't have to give you an explanation of why, but they'll keep pressing. How do you handle people like that? Share your experience.
Well, yeah, that happens quite a bit. As you can imagine, in the Black community that I worship in and the friends I have on Facebook, uh, a lot of times I get attacked, but I say, this is the person I like because my explanation really for President Trump is that he's not a politician. He never was. You won't see me say anything about liking George Bush or anybody else who's supposedly conservative. Let's see, anybody in the Senate or Congress. I think they all should go. Things should be changed there because they turned it to a kingdom. Now the Senate and the Congress are like the Sadducees and Pharisees.
Mm-hmm.
They're going too far, and they're ruling everybody, and they're untouchable, and they're righteous. The one thing I like about President Trump when he ran is he was not one of those. He can't be bought. He's got uh, okay. In my history growing up, I saw Donald Trump as a hero. A lot of people did, and he was always in the Black communities doing things. He actually gave Jesse Jackson an apartment for free, uh, be close to his organization, and he's got NAACP awards. I didn't have a problem. They're saying that he's racist. I don't see that at all. And I have a lot of friends who are African American who go to the White House for
Mm-hmm.
different events. So this is why I say, it's hard for me to believe that. And he was everywhere when I was growing up. He was on TV all the time. He was always on Oprah. He was
Yes.
friends right there. And they had quite a so this is why I like him because he's not a politician. He's not the person that's going to lie to you and do something else. When he gets up there, he might do that, but they have a record. They know that they're not going to do what they tell you. They're not going to do what they're running on, and I don't trust them at all. And the career politicians are the worst. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. And we saw Donald Trump as a businessman first. That's what it was, always a businessman, and was super excited him coming into office that you get to see the business side and hoping that our country would be into a better place. So I think that's what a lot of people miss seeing. They saw that before, or they quickly forgot about, like you said, he helped Jesse Jackson. They forget about that, it seems, and then now it's different because he's on the opposite side of it. So
Yes.
now, in reading your book, I read it, a couple of times, with the information you sent me, probably 5 or 6 times. And in that reading, I kind of sense some frustrating in the writing, and so please unpack some of that frustration where it was derived from, I guess, from it being, the Oreo lifestyle that you had to grow up and you had to face. So what was some of that frustration there?
Well, frustration was on both sides, black and white, equally.
Mm-hmm.
Blacks didn't accept Oreos. You don't talk right. You talk proper. You don't you don't do this. You don't live here. So you're not really black. And people have told me you're not really. We know he's not one of us. He's not down for the cause. Just like RG3, he went through the same thing. He's the guy who made all these numbers, made the black kids proud, and then they dogged him. The
Yeah.
reporter on ESPN, and that doesn't. He's a football player. He's not a social justice guy. This guy is making. He's an Oreo too. He's just trying to do his thing, and that's exactly how I felt. I'm trying to do my thing. And people question me. The whites will think they automatically assume, and this is kind of funny. Whites automatically assume that you're black if your skin is black. They don't understand Oreo, and they think you're from the stereotypical black community or neighborhood or anything. That's what they think you are. So, and they don't trust you. Let's talk about dating. It doesn't happen, or very little, and so you go back to those times back in the 70s and 80s, it wasn't going to happen. But it did happen a little bit between blacks and whites, but not like today. Today is completely different. And it's like people are liberated now.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful. But yeah, there are things that I wouldn't dare do in places I wouldn't go because I know they're looking at me. How many times I go to the store and they look at me like I'm going to steal something?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm an Oreo means nothing because I'm still black, and that's how they see me. The whites see me as black, don't trust them completely and assume things automatically. So just like I said in the book, if I bring out chicken or watermelon, it's all over. It's all the jokes start coming, and people start making their comments and all the stereotypes. The stereotype closet gets open and it's loaded. It all falls out on me. So
Oh yes. Oh yes.
it's just the fact that's the way they are. That's how shallow people are. Not all of them. When I say this, I don't mean every
Right.
black, everybody white, but it happens so often. And in that, the way you're treated, you don't fit in either society. If you're like, we moved to an all-white neighborhood. My dad retired because country folks, that was his choice to do that. And we went to the park after we moved there, and the cop tried to, talk to my dad. What are you doing here? Why are you here? It's like I live in this neighborhood, so things happen, and I'm not blind to that. You're still black.
At the end of the day, right?
You can escape being gay or something else, but you cannot escape being black. And they're going to put all those stereotypes on you. And then what I would call, which I brought from somebody else, real black people, because I say that because people don't think I'm black. A lot of people don't. They're like, you're not really black. So you hear that so many times. Right. So it's kind of heartbreaking. Even to this day, people tell me, at my church, well, you're not really black. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, you went to all white high school. I said, no, I didn't. Actually, I went to high school that was, maybe half and half. So people make assumptions about Oreos too. It's stereotypes. Somehow they have stereotypes for Oreos, and it's pretty much uh, they think you're a white person.
So I love the fact that you talked about when people hear you, they hear like the words, you talk white, you act white, you live white. Black people do not do that, or you're different. And how does that
Yes.
make you feel, and what is your rebuttal? Because I'll just give you some experience. I get that all the time. I've been told that, oh, we've snatched your black card because I may not relate to a movie or some form of music or some form of language
Yes.
jargon. I'm like, oh, because I'm black, I'm literally supposed to know what that means, or you listen to this particular music. Why can't I have a vast or a broad range of likes? Just because I'm black, I have to listen to everything black. So I can relate. And sometimes lately, as I'm older now, I kind of ignore it, but it's laughable. But so, what is your rebuttal when you get that?
You know, I guess I'm used to it so much. There's some things you just let go. I don't want to get frustrated too much. Like people will say, "Hey, you remember that slow jam from the '80s? Remember this one?" I don't. Okay, let me tell you something. When I lived overseas, we only had one radio station, one TV station. There's a whole bunch of songs I never even knew about till like, years and years later. So don't ask me. I don't know. I don't know all the moves. I don't know all the artists. I don't know rap. I am very, very limited. I used to listen to Barry Manilow and people like that, and those are the people that Foreigner. That's the kind of music I listened to because it was part of my culture and where I lived and my friends and everything. I had black friends who did the same thing.
Right. Absolutely. And it wasn't that you were not trying to be what the color of your skin was or what you were born into. It's just that the atmosphere and the environment which you were reared in, that's what you knew. It doesn't mean that you're less black because of the world that you were offered at all. And
Exactly.
I think that's what it is. And so I just literally look at it like, well, is there buffoonery? Is there ignorance to be so closed minded to that everybody doesn't live the same. Everybody didn't grow up the same just because you're the same color. Everyone experiences life differently, right?
That is true. So
And
true.
that's exactly what happens to a lot of people in our culture. So I've also heard people say of black, and mostly of whites. I've heard it say that they don't see color. And be honest with you, I started to adapt that language of saying, "Oh, I don't see color either," until someone black says to me, "That's offensive. What do you mean you don't see color? That's racist. You have to see color." So, do you believe that truth has no color, or when people say they don't see color, that's we as black people say that? Is that a racist thing, or we just misled or misunderstood? When you hear those terms, what do you think about?
I hear that from whites, and it's only around black people they ever say it. But when they say something like that, it's always around the situation that happened.
Hmm.
So I think that's the get out of jail card free or whatever, get out of jail free card or an excuse. And you don't have to say that to me. I can tell, I can pick up, whether people are a little prejudiced or not. I mean, I don't really want to hear that. That's just my opinion.
Hmm.
Uh, Back in the 70s, white people would say some of my best friends are black. So what's that? I don't understand that at all. I don't understand why you would even say that, because when something happens with white people, I don't say, well, I don't see color, because there is no color with the white people, right? They
Right.
assume they're colorless, but there's a lot of things behind that, and white people are diverse too, but we don't really say, and you don't see that in our society. It's always the people of color that get the attention these days. And you see all these commercials, but now they have black people is now like on all these commercials. They got the with the frizzy hair and the light skinned black women and the light skinned black guys or the interracial couples. Since this has happened, since the social justice movement has happened, we've seen a lot of this. I think uh, Joe Biden mentioned that recently in one of his campaigns, but things are changing. It's not that it's bad or anything. It's just sometimes it looks like people are trying too hard, to please people of color. That's what it looks like these days. It's something I've never seen before. We had that before, but now it's in your face. It's in movies, and now the black movie star gets the girl. That didn't happen for years.
Right.
That was like, what's going on? He lives through the whole movie. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now in your book, you talk about Oreology. Oreology. Please share the meaning of this word because we know that's a word that's just was created, right? So what
Yes.
is behind this creation and what is the true meaning of what you mean when you say Oreology?
Oreology is a study of Oreo life and situations between blacks, whites, communities, wherever they are and how they interact, how they're perceived, and what an Oreo does in those situations. Um, that was kind of the book is meant to be funny, and there are some things I threw in there just to make you think. What is Oreology? Is a lifestyle, and if you look at my Instagram page, you'll see that I have a lot of posters with blacks on it and different situations, and they show uh, Oreology is one of the things. Oreo justice. Let's see, and there's like Oreo life, all these things, a lot of Oreo stuff, and people like it. They're getting it. There's a lot of people out there who are Oreos who
Hmm.
aren't saying anything, or who have trouble, and there's a lot of people who are depressed about it. People who are there's a guy I saw. He's like, I don't like being where I am. I don't like being in the middle. Talking about killing himself because it was too much pressure, too much trouble for him to live that way, or it can't be accepted in any part of the white or black community. So as you know, then I have a section there just for Oreos, their own little city I joke about. So,
Absolutely. So why do people label as Oreos? Why do you accept the term Oreo? Or do they accept it or is it something that they feel like they were just through into or maybe I should say we? Why is it even a thing?
yeah, Uncle Tom, Cornball Brother, those things just don't fit very well. They're not up to date or whatever. Oreo is good because Oreo is actually a good thing, the good cookie. And the ironic thing is, it's the number one cookie. They say some guy with a vending machine that says black people eat more Oreos than anybody else.
Oh
So
my gosh.
the cookie is the most hated black. So the Oreo thing, uh, I've been called that so many times. So I accepted it. And a lot of people who are Oreos actually use that title. They'll put that in their YouTube broadcast or on their web pages or anything, and people know what you're talking about when you say Oreo. Most people do. some people, I'm surprised they didn't know what it meant. And so things are like, okay, where have you been?
Well, I will admit, for quite some time, I had no clue what it meant. Like for many, many years when I was called an Oreo, had no clue. And
Mhm.
then I later learned as I researched and then someone told me what it meant. I say, Dad, wow, really? I just,
Yes,
okay,
like on the outside, one on the inside.
all
Yeah, so
right.
many times.
So, all right, I guess I don't know, but that's weird. So, okay, let's put you on the spot. Thinking
Sure.
about, Oreos, right? You have former President Obama and Senator Kamala Harris. They've both been, talked about or questioned about the color of their skin or their true blackness, as some may say. And they've been ridiculed and judged about it. So, being that you are conservative and you support President Trump, do you agree that Harris and Obama, that you guys have that one thing in common, and that's they too are labeled as Oreos?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so if there was an opportunity ever presented, for you guys to work to help the world understand things more, that it doesn't have to be an Oreo thing, and to remove the labels, would you be willing to partner with them?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I wrote Kamala Harris, and I wrote RG3, and I wrote, let's see, Senator Cory Booker. I didn't get any responses. I didn't have enough backing like I do now. I know a lot of people since I wrote the book that that have the connections. I didn't have that before, and I wrote a few other people. I wanted one of them to write the forward to it or a little introduction. So yeah, it's all about culture. It has nothing really to do with politics, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe they would be great people to represent. Same thing I would represent. So I would definitely work with them. I have tried.
So why do you think that they didn't respond? Do you think that people fear answering certain things or being involved with certain things? The truth. They shy away from the truth, or it's not popular enough for them, but it's necessary.
Well, I think it's because I'm a nobody and they don't know who I am and they're not going to respond to me anyway. And they probably get thousands of requests. To be honest with you, I think you have to know somebody to get somewhere. And that's exactly what I did for the book. I know a lot of people now and I can do a lot of things, a lot of opportunities. Back then, when I wrote it and I was on the forward, I wasn't even published at the time because I wanted to go into the book. So I wanted their words of wisdom. And I try to contact Dr. Ben Carson, who is what my book was actually
Mm-hmm.
modeled after. The format is just like his, and that's I think that's the whole case. Now I don't know. Uh, as I was told, they probably don't even see their stuff that people send them. They have people that look at it for them. But I did. Whoever got it, they did get the request. I'm sure. So I didn't get any rejects. So that just never happened. And I waited for I don't know maybe 4 or 5 months
Mm-hmm.
in the process of getting the book together. It takes a long time to put a book together.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So my hope is that they will catch it at some point because it's necessary. It's a good conversation and it's necessary to have a discussion about because it's happening too frequent, right?
That's
So,
right.
hey, I'm all for it. I think it at some point, hey, Kamala and President Obama, President Trump, all of you guys out there, Ben Carson, if you guys are listening to Hindsight Media, somebody's listening on your team or somebody somewhere around your world, pick up the book, and take a listen because it is necessary. And I always believe exactly what you said. Who you know will get you there, but what you know will keep you there. So
That's right.
I do love that. So here's to hoping that someone pick up your book and just help with the movement. So let's hope on
Right.
that. Now, growing up, did you feel that you had to select a side, black side or a white side in order, or did you feel like you remain in the middle? When you're in the middle of something, you get just squashed. And I think
Yes.
that's what happened to Oreos. We get squashed,
Yes.
right?
Because you can't be on both sides as a full member. That's the problem. Um, the white side parts of them reject you, and if you talk to like I try to talk to some girl in high school, and her friends are like kind of like almost ganging up on me, kind of thing. Uh, so I don't know. I don't think you can fit on both sides, and I had black friends, I had white friends. I didn't have uh, more one than the other. I did have probably more white friends because I was in the band. I mean, that's where that was my escape. I went there
Hmm.
and I enjoyed that because it was all I did was play music, right? So there's nothing happening. Everybody gets along. It's all organized. I did play 1 year of football in high school as freshman, but that's teamwork is what it's all about. And I think when you work with a team, just like when I was in the military, everybody works under the same flag for the same, country, for the same mission, fix the airplanes and send them back out. And that's why I like team. Team is like you lose your identity in the team.
Hmm.
So, but like in high school is like a bunch of cliques. It's all about groups and all the geeks and the jocks and the popular people. They're on their own place, and the Oreo has no place to lay its head. I'll just say that. Oh,
Wow.
you're black to the white people, and to the blacks, well, you're not really black. But I keep in touch with friends from high school, black and white, and I'm a lot more mature now, and I've grown up, and I understand, some of the things I missed out on because of what I thought at the time.
Absolutely. So, okay, with that being said, do you feel that you're in your wrong skin?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good stuff. That's good to hear.
Some people do. Some
Yeah,
Oreos say that, I wish I was white, but that's not me. I'm proud to be black, African American, because that's what God put in me. That's what He made me, and there's a lot of unique things, advantages to be black, being black and African American. There's a lot of opportunities other people don't may not have.
hmm,
So I see things, and I know a lot of very, very intelligent, capable people, African Americans, and I was proud to be one of those. We were doing the Dutch mission. We were training Dutch pilots in Springfield, Ohio, for 3 years. And when the Dutch came over, they're like, African American or a young black man is leading this section. So I was a shop chief for 10 years. So you get that attention. I had problems being black as that position because that's one of those positions that they'd rather not have you in it. Some people, if you know what I mean.
absolutely, absolutely. So, earlier we talked about those that make fun or poke fun at how blacks talk if they don't speak in certain language or certain jargon, or write a certain way, or listen to certain music, or attend certain events, et cetera, that are just normally black way of living, I guess. So would you say that intelligence is linked to race? And the reason why I ask that question is because if you're a black person that's educated, or you speak proper English, or your tone is totally different, you're often judged, and it's stated that you talk white. So do you think that race is linked to intelligence?
Personally, I don't, but I think people may see it as that. Especially, I don't think it really matters uh, as far as like a lot of the white people that I worked with. Didn't matter what you talk like, you're still black. They didn't care, what vernacular you use, and they assume, and they'll talk to you like you're black. As an
Yeah, like you're
Oreo.
supposed to know what that means. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know the slang to that. What? Is that even a word?
Exactly. And they'll use they'll use their own ebonics only with the black people. What's
Yeah.
up, man? Just like you go to the store and somebody says, hey, how can I help you, man? What's up? What can I get you? Well, I'm just here to buy something. I'm here to be your buddy or whatever. I'm here to get something done. And it's kind of insulting when you don't know or they don't know who you are. You can't assume all the black people are the same. And that right there bothers me a lot because they assume everybody's exactly, it doesn't matter. Your name is Jamal, right? And so they don't care. They don't care. They just assume that all black people are like this. A black person, well, I got to act like this when he comes in here. And that's exactly what they do.
I love this because you're really, really you're bringing an eye opener to the whole Oreo thing because I'm like, wow, he's so right. On this side of it, your black people are feeling that yeah, you're speaking to white, and then the white people they truly come at you like, oh well, like some of the slang you just used, and that if you're black, you're supposed to know what that is. And I'm like, yeah, you're better than I am because I have no clue what you're speaking about. So yeah, I totally
Yes.
get it. I'm so loving this. Okay, well, would you say that the term Oreo, being that sometimes is offensive to many, that it's equal to being called the N word, or is that kind of reaching?
I think that's reaching. But because remember, only Oreos get called the Oreo word. We don't
Right,
have a big enough face to make any difference, right? We have
right.
no weight, no power, really. Nobody knows. A lot of people don't know about this phenomenon. They don't understand. My best my best reference in the book is about let's see, the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. It's a
Hmm.
perfect. It tells you exactly why people don't like Oreos because they're not down. So you got the banks; they moved up already. They're millionaires or whatever. They're professionals, and they're constantly being pulled down for not going back to the roots. And every time they strayed from their roots, they were chastised by you know was it the Prince and Jazzy.
Hmm.
So Jazzy Jeff. So they were actually running the narrative, and they were the people who supposedly kind of like myopically made sense. They're the ones who are the voice of reason, even though the Oreo family, they were successful. So they're kind of like knocking that down. And they moved out of Philadelphia, and now they're in a white neighborhood and a white world, and it's a problem. This whole show is a problem because they're Oreos, and I think that was a theme that I got out of it.
Okay. So now let's look at the impact, good, bad, or indifferent, that social media, do you feel that social media has had an impact on race and politics and things of that sort?
Yes, yeah, it's social media is huge, and I think along with the TV and radio, I mean, it's everywhere. I see it. I can't go on Facebook without seeing things like that, and it's on the news all the time. Now, impact, I'm not sure what you mean by impact. Is it for justice or is it just race being called out a lot? I do notice that people label themselves a lot,
Mm-hmm.
or they identify. Identity politics is huge. When I was in college in 2017, it was pretty bad. Everybody had to, I know this is a new thing. We did never did this, right?
Right.
So my name is so and so. I'm a cisgender, blah, 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 blah. So I said, why are you using labels? Why are you calling yourself something? I didn't care. I'm 30 years better. I'm already retired and now I'm working another job, but I just didn't understand that. So I see this on TV and I see it on social media. Black, black groups, uh, Black Student Union. We had that when I was going to college. I didn't understand that at all. There's no white student union, but I just I went right down the middle. I did my own thing. So
Yep,
I do see it a lot.
absolutely. So do you, okay, in that case, because when we talk about labels, it does seem that many people are being more receptive to labels or they're taking it on. Like they're allowing people to project on them what they feel they are, right? Like you stated, black student unions. It's like it's black this, black that, but there's no white SGT. But we're always making a black SGT. Or you're separating. Do we blame ourselves that we're separating, or we're just buying into what other people are projecting onto us?
I have an interesting theory about separation and being an Oreo and living on both sides of the spectrum, if you would say. I'm seeing things that are hurting blacks because they do segregate. Because if you think about it, if you have a skill or an ability or education, nobody's not going to hire you for that position. And this is people are looking for people. They don't care what color you are.
Mm-hmm.
But as a group, some people are keeping themselves down because I see it a lot. Like, oh, why are you going to college? Why are you doing this? You have to be your own self to be successful. The group thing doesn't work for me. And why do you live here kind of thing? And it's like there's a lot of pressure and things against, sending your kids to school, college, or whatever. A lot of people, that's not really a priority that I know. And there's other opportunities. The reason I joined the military was my dad was in it, but I had a lot of opportunities. I learned a lot of things there, got a lot of skills. When I got out, I was able to do other things, retire and everything. But not everybody does that. And I think the identity, race identity, it's good to be part of it, but you have to be your own person at the same time.
Absolutely. So did you feel like growing up and being around your family, your black family, that it was a safe space to emote and not feel less than being an Oreo?
Yes, definitely, because military families are very tight. You go everywhere, you live in different states and countries, and you're a very tight, close family. So we let go, and we didn't realize until we got to high school that we were Oreos. So, but we come home and talk about it. Things are different. This is not. So my sister and I got off the bus, went home, and said, "Dad, we can't go back to school. We don't want to go here. It's awful. It's terrible. These kids are attacking. The black kids are attacking the white kids, and they're tackling them at lunchtime. We don't know what's going on. We don't understand this. Why is
Wow.
there?" My dad says this is how the world really works, because back in that part of the country, the KKK was huge. Back in the 70s, 80s, 60s, even up to 1985, they were still burning crosses in those places, but we never were exposed to it. So we never lived there. We didn't know that. So my dad was telling me, this is what happens. Be careful. As a matter of fact, his dad died because the guy selling the oxygen for his heart problem refused to sell it that day. And that's how I never met him.
Wow.
My dad was very bitter to white people. And I didn't know that until I went to high school.
Wow. Wow. That's an eye
Yeah.
opener. So
So
was there ever a sense or experience of depression?
no, not really, because my career was everything. So I mean, I loved working on airplanes and going on trips and in the war zones and everything. That was my thing, and it didn't really bother me. I just brushed it off to the side. That doesn't. I'm okay. But I got, as a matter of fact, if I'm out in public, when I was out in uniform, I wasn't black at all. I was an airman. I was a what people call a soldier. It's an army thing, but I was a military guy. And people would buy me lunches, even in the small country towns, which I don't feel comfortable in. They would buy me stuff. And people would say, "Hey, this guy in uniform." So a lot of times I go out to lunch and I wouldn't pay for anything because that's how I felt great. As a black man, that would never happen. But
But you put on that uniform, then it's like
yes,
the color of your skin is non-existent. It's like your Casper, the friendly ghost, right? You're clear, and that they
yes,
ignore that because of the service. And in some parts it's like, okay, that's a pro and that's a con. It's like that's great that you see my service. I help serve this country. That's phenomenal. Thank you for respecting and just gracing me with that. But then again, if you take that uniform off, you're still the same man, but because you don't
right,
have the uniform on, they look at you differently.
exactly.
Wow, that's an Oreo in itself.
Right. So yeah, go ahead. You're eating lunch and oh yeah, somebody paid for it at another table. Sometimes you don't even know who it is. It's just amazing how that works. And people would bring stuff all the time and, hey, let me take care of that for you, whatever, or do you need any help? It was a whole nother world, but you know what? We earned it. So
Wow.
we
So,
sacrificed a lot.
how does your wife cope with this? Has she ever had an experience? What was her experience like in this whole world of Oreo? And then, things that you're dealing with and her take on you writing this book. What is her thought process on that?
Well, it's all good because she's actually from the country. She was the one, her town. She used to see crosses burned in her village,
Wow.
Smithfield, Ohio. She actually saw that stuff, and the people. As a matter of fact, there's only like three people in her high school where she went to. So she's on the same page, completely. Uh, but there were things that they couldn't go out to lunch because things would happen to them. So they would stay in the school. All the white kids went to lunch and they didn't. And she graduated in '83. This stuff, this is how it was. This is like back in the '50s in the hills.
Wow.
So she is an Oreo. But she's adapted more because she had a lot more interaction with
Hmm.
other people. Her dad's a pastor, so they went everywhere. So it's a little different than my situation, but yeah, definitely she understands it all, and she fits more into the black community or culture than I did. I'm getting there. So, but nobody tells her she's not really black. Nobody's ever told her that. So I
Wow.
got some strikes against beef right now.
So now, what about your children? Have they had any experience with the Oreo, or, people treating them any different? Or what are they experiencing in their upbringing?
Well, my older daughter, she identifies a lot with the book because she doesn't fit in with some of her friends, and she's getting married next year, but she doesn't fit in with the family as much as that they would want her to be because she's not living up to her color.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Understand.
and my youngest daughter, she's a millennial. She's a socialite. She's a butterfly, and so she gets along with everybody.
Okay.
She does very well. So she's
Awesome.
incredible.
So, good stuff. Good stuff. Now, we know that life is a constant construction zone. It's always changing. There's always something going on, something happening. And especially right now, look at this COVID, this pandemic. How has your
Yes.
family, or how are you guys coping as a family during this pandemic and navigating through all the roadblocks at the time?
Well, I educated my family that I don't know if a lot of people want to hear this, but the mask does nothing for you because after going through chemical warfare training, that mask is useless. You have
Wow.
to have a face covering. I mean, your eyes are open. That's a point of entry. And your mask is cloth. It doesn't stop anything. So the microns are too big and the virus can go right through that. So the military guys know this. So
Hmm.
we kind of laugh when they say, we did chemical warfare training where the suits, you have the entire face mask and the rubber covering and gloves and everything. And you lived in that thing for hours.
Hazmat. Yeah.
Hazmat, right? So as far as the family, we're doing well. We're getting along. We're careful where we go because you can still catch it. So I mean, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter where you wear the mask, you can catch it. And just touching the buttons on the gas pump. Everybody's touching the same thing. Nobody's wearing gloves. You got people at the cash register. They're putting their numbers in or their code. The ATM. So it's everywhere. The doors are always automatic. So we're careful. We go there. We wash our hands. Use a sanitizer just to be safe. So we're just following the rules. We do wear the mask and everything in public, you know, because somebody will come up to you and say, "Hey, mask."
Absolutely. But in
Wear your
hindsight,
mask.
you
You
being a
gotta make
veteran,
yes, yeah, right.
you're like, no, that doesn't work for you.
Exactly. They're useless. Even the
Okay, so
N95s.
right. So, what advice are you able to give those that are Oreos or being called Oreos? What advice would you give them, that are experiencing it?
Well, you lose yourself in whatever you do. You find out what you want to do, and I believe a lot of Oreos are independent. Uh, so they do their own things, and I'm not surprised if they do. And unless they have friends that really accept them, but find something you want to do and go for it. Put your whole everything into it, and that's exactly what I did. I had a very successful career, 30 years, and I worked for an airline for 3 years after, and now I'm a government contractor. And remember, your skills are what gets you places. It's not anybody it's your skills that really open the doors. So, uh, as an Oreo, it's hard to say because in the book there's really no result because it's a you're walking a fine line,
Hmm.
and people don't change. You see, you would think that things would be a little different here. Maybe in the next generation things will be better, but like I say, people are just primitive people with technology. I mean, nothing's really changed from the beginning of time because skin color means a lot. It changes things. Just like down in the Caribbean, the darker people are ruled by the lighter people. And so this is a problem with people coming from the Caribbean and other countries that have blacks in it. They have problems in America because they can't get along with the black Americans. And that's part of the thing. It's one of the things I put in my book, and I interview people about that. Colorism is a big thing. And my nephew, his wife is from the Virgin Islands, and the same thing down there. They look down on darker people. And I think it's ridiculous because his brother
Wow.
is darker than he is. Just like just like biracials who pass for black are big targets. They think they're black. So their life is completely different from their sister. And these people have serious issues because they end up hating their sister or brother or whatever that passes for white. This is a huge problem. People don't think about it. So the more you rag on the Oreos, the skin color is first, and that's the problem. It should be, you should be individuals, but I know that's never going to happen unless we all get bleached and look like Michael Jackson. It's not going to happen. There's nothing
Okay.
about it. You live it. You are what you are. You're black.
You are what you are. That is correct. That's what you're born into. So, now, what advice could you impart on to those interested in becoming an author? Because we do know, like you stated earlier, it takes time, to really produce something, to get it out there, and to make it where people actually want to read it, and not just read it, but take heed to it and kind of use some of those lessons at some points to be better and within their lives. So, what advice would you impart on those wanting to become an author?
Um, if you have something in your heart, something you're passionate about, you want to talk about it, you want to put it on paper, or you got good ideas, or something that's going to be valuable to some group or society as a whole, uh, the hardest thing to do is to sit down and write. So I had 5,000 words in 2018, and I sat down one weekend. I wrote out 10,000 more words for this book because I wanted it to be a novella. I wanted to get to a certain level, but it's dedication. A lot of people don't do it because they're not dedicated, but little at a time. If it takes you 10 years, it's okay. And my company, Browniefox Publishing, I'm looking for authors now, new authors. I will be publishing uh, new people. I have maybe 2 or 3 people right now that I'll be giving contracts to, and it's rough. You can do it on your own, uh, but the people that are going to ask you in the future, if you wrote a book before, they're going to see, hey, do you have it? Is it published? If it's not published, they don't really look at it hard enough. I had a hard time. I got 2 offers, but they were awful. I turned them down, so I started my own company. They were terrible.
Oh,
They want to own your stuff, of course, and you have no leeway. So I wanted to have total rights on it. I don't want the title changed, but yeah, you can publish your own book. Just it takes a lot of work and dedication, and that's the easy part is writing the book. The hard part is getting it printed and everything. There's so many wickets you got to jump through. It's ridiculous. So many things you got to buy. It's like $1,000 and 10 months later to finally get it out.
wow. So with Brownie Fox Publishing, will you be publishing any types of books, or are there specific books that you're looking to stay within? Book titles and
No,
things of that sort.
we are looking at anything that's interesting or something that is informative or something that even if children's books, it could be politics either way because we're about culture and books. We're not about politics. So anybody who has any kind of ideas, they can write me at Browniefox Publishing at outlook.com. It's Brownie with an I, just like the dessert Brownie Fox Publishing. So it's all about ideas and people and stories. Uh, Everybody's got something interesting to say to put down, and that's the beauty of individuals. People have something to say that's inside of them, or something like. I'm working on another book. It'll be coming out next year sometime. I have a lot of ideas, and things that people have to cope with are usually the strongest things they're want to express, and that's exactly what I did. I had to write this book. I had to put it down. I had to show, this is how it is, what it's like to be an Oreo, and people don't understand, and I can't explain it to everybody. So
Absolutely. So is there anything else you would like to share with the listeners before we go?
yes, thank you for having me, and the listeners. Thank you for listening and watching. I have a lot of good ideas, and I'm looking for people with great ideas. And I hope you go out and take a look, buy the book, and I hope you enjoy it. And there'll be more things coming soon. Probably won't be anything with politics or anything like that. I think there are bigger things to talk about because by the time you write anything in politics, it's already over.
Oh,
So
yeah, absolutely.
it's quick. But I do write articles. And there's a lot of things I've learned since I wrote the book. There are things you can do, if you are an aspiring artist or writer. There are other things you can get into that I had no idea I could, because I write for a journal and people ask me to write articles for this, that, and the other, and they get published. So there's a lot of different things you can do branching off. And like I said, becoming a published author opened up a lot of doors. So think about that. If you have something that you want done, published, or whatever, or you want a book you want to publish yourself, there's a lot of different things that happen when you do that. You'd be surprised. A lot of opportunities I never knew. So
Well, good stuff. Well, I want to say just thank you for definitely coming on and sharing that. And listeners, you will not be disappointed whenever you read the book. It is definitely a great read, and you'll want to read it over and over and over because you will miss some stuff in the beginning. You have to go back and read it again. But please share, Kevin, please share with the listeners how they can connect with you, purchase your book, and also if they're interested in inviting you as a keynote.
yes, the book can be found on Amazon.com or my website, www.browniefoxpublishing.com, Brownie with an I-E. And you can, on that site, if you have anything you want to question or add or whatever, or submit, you can do it on that website too. You can order a book on the site, or you can order it. There's a link to Amazon. There are two versions out there right now. There's an illustrated and a regular version. But I think you'll enjoy it. It's funny all the way through. There's a lot of things that happened to me that I put in this book. So my heart's in the book, and I enjoyed writing it. And I hope you do too. And if you want to, my email is browniefoxpublishing@outlook.com. And yes, I do a lot of speaking like this on different formats. We're doomed to the Zoom right now, okay? So I'm really
Zoom
used
to
to
the
this.
Zoom. I like that.
I've been on so many Zoom meetings, and I enjoy them. It's relaxing, you wear the shirt on top and the jeans on the bottom. So
Good
you're free to
stuff.
do a lot more. So.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, hindsighters, there you have it. Thank you for tuning in to Keeping It Real with Miss T and our awesome guest, Kevin White, with Growing Up White, pun intended, an Oreos guide to fitting in. So, please visit our website at www.hindsightmediaradio.com. See you next week. Good night.
Right.